Hey, how's it going? It's Craig. I'm out in the garage, and today I'm going to take a look at the B&O TV that I picked up a few weeks back and have a look at the sound issues that I've got on it. Hopefully we can get them repaired and get some decent sound out of this system, because it's an absolutely stunning machine and I want to make sure that I can use it to its fullest with the sound playing through it as well. So let's take a look and see how we get on. Cool. Okay, so I picked up this B&O TV a few weeks back. I think it was Eddie on one of my WhatsApp groups that I'm on, Eddie RollerXcore. I'll put his link down in the description below. Great channel as well. Was it Eddie or Dylan? I can't remember. But Dylan, I'll put his link as well. Dylan Hyper Trigger X. But I know they both keep an eye out for these TVs when they come up, the CRT TVs from B&O, across different eBay and Facebook Marketplace and things, and they give people a heads up when they're coming up. This one I paid 25 quid for. I picked it up not far from me, probably a couple of miles down the road, and it's absolutely stunning. The picture on it is lovely. As you can see behind me, it's running Time Crisis, which I keep on there most of the time if I'm totally honest. Really great quality picture, and the sound is meant to be amazing. But if I play it a little bit louder now, hopefully without getting copyright issues on this, so I'll play it a bit louder, and you can hear what the issue with the sound is. Okay, so you can probably hear already, there's a hell of a crackle coming from those speakers. Let's see if you can hear it properly on the mic when it picks it up now.
This nation will
That's
soon
disgusting.
be mine. The taste of revenge is sweet. There! Shoot it!
There's a bit crackly. Turn that down. So as you can hear, it's really crackly. Not in the best conditions, those speakers underneath there. I've already taken this front panel off down here to take a look and to measure up the surrounds for the speakers. What we'll do now is I'll take you a little bit closer to the screen so you can see what the issue is. I'll take that front panel off and we'll have a look at whether we can take this apart and repair those speakers, because that's a real shame that it's making such terrible noise. It's unplayable as it is. It's really, really bad. So hopefully we can take this apart, get those speakers stripped down and try and replace some of the parts on them to make it sound a lot better, hopefully, by the end of it. Cool. Alright, I'll catch you in a bit. Okay, so this surround of the speaker surround just pops off the side. So I've unclipped this previously and you can see straight away the issue with these speakers. So if I close in a bit on that one, there's no surround of this gone. It's totally gone. So that speaker's just rattling around, and this one isn't much better either. So if I see, as I'm touching it, it's literally just crumbling away and falling away. But this TV is probably 20-30 years old, probably 20 years old, I'm guessing. So that speaker's probably totally gone now. So if I turn this volume back up,
the last blood relative of the royal family.
let's have a look at how these move when the sound kicks in.
This nation will soon be mine. The taste of revenge is sweet.
And that one as well.
Your father will pay the price for destroying the imperial rule.
Okay, so as you can see, those speakers have totally had it. They're shot. They're rattling around. They're not making much sense at all. All the parts of that speaker are just literally falling out and making dust on my desk. It's an absolute mess. So what we're going to need to do is take these speakers out now, take the 4 screws out from each of them, see how they come out. I've not taken them out of the system yet. I'm guessing there's going to be a connector behind there. Once we got those speakers out, I'm going to look at trying to replace that rubber that's around them to see if we can get a bit of better sound once we've got new rubbers on them. But it could be a little bit fiddly. I've never done this before. I've never repaired speakers before, so It's a bit of a first try for me, and I'm probably going to make a lot of errors, so don't use this as a tutorial video by any means. This is just me trying to fix it. It's not a tutorial, it's just me having a go at trying to get this TV to sound a lot better than it currently does. So have a look through to this end of this video to make sure before you follow anything or buy anything that it actually works, because I'm not confident that I know what I'm doing right now. So keep watching, and hopefully we'll get something working by the end of this video. Cool. Okay, so one thing I noticed is a bit of tissue sellotaped or glued or taped into the back of these. I don't know whether that's some kind of dampener. Obviously we're going to need to clean all of this crap out as well, so I'll get a little bit of a duster on that in a bit. Make sure it's nice and clear. But that's quite interesting why they've got that, so it's not just on the one side and it's in the others as well. So these TVs are really nicely made, handmade and hand tuned, so they must have put that in extra and dampen a little bit later on to sort the sound out. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see that they got just a piece of tissue paper or sound. I'm guessing it's just tissue paper. It doesn't look anything special, just to dampen the sound a little bit in there. So the basics of things, eh? Even in an expensive TV back in the day. So this is a Beovision MX3500 TV. I can't remember how much the lady said she paid for it, but I know it was probably into the thousands at the time. And for me to pay £25 to take it off her hands was probably a blessing for her, because I don't think she'd get much for it otherwise. They do sell for quite a bit in the right audience, if you're in the right area and things, but they're really sought after in the retro community. But I think just because of the size of them and the depth of the back of the screen, they're not really like sought after for TVs anymore. So yeah, cool. Let's take a look at these speakers, see what we can do. Hopefully we can get it back together and have a nice sounding TV at the end of this. Cool. Okay, so I bought these replacement surrounds. I've not even measured them to see if they're up against it, to see if they're the right size yet. But I picked these up from eBay, I think it was. They're only a couple of quid, but they took ages to come because they came from China. So basically these are two. I hope there's two. Whew, had a little bit of a heart moment then. I thought I only had one. Two replacement surrounds that go onto the speaker and then onto the cone itself. So it looks pretty good actually. So I don't know whether it goes that way up or that way up. What do you reckon? That way I'd say. It fits in a little bit nicer. And then we could hold that down and glue it into place. Or does it go that way? No, that one seems like it's sticking up too high. So as I said, I've never done this before, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But basically what we're looking to do is glue around the outside of this onto the frame, and then we're going to glue onto the cone just so we've got a nice bit of movement for that speaker cone. Cool. Okay, that should go on quite nice. It seems to be the right size. It's a different shape to the one that came off, I think. Well, there wasn't much of what one came off, to be honest, so there isn't much to reference on what shape they should be. These are the ones when I measured them all up and had a look online, they seem to be the best fit. So I think the next thing to do is find some decent glue. I'm going to use a super glue. There are some kits that sell a glue with it, and I don't know whether it's more of a rubber based super glue than what I'm going to use, but I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just going to give this a go. Worst case scenario, if these don't work, I can always take it back off. As long as I don't damage that cone too much, I can always take it back off and re-glue it with a new cone, new rubber surround. Okay, so I'm going to try and find some glue, and then we'll see if we can get these stuck in place. I think the most important thing is that we get a good seal around that whole cone so it's no air flapping through it. Cool, let's take a look. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to put 2 tubes of Gorilla Glue. As you can see, they're not exactly the best conditioned tubes, so I'm not sure how it's going to come out. So if it doesn't come out decent from the nozzle, I think that one's pretty gone. Then I'm going to squirt it onto here and use a brush to brush it into place, but this could be a little bit messy. As I said, I've not tried this before, not done this before, but hopefully we can get these glued into place. So I'm going to start with one. I'm going to do the outsides on one of them first. I'm not going to do both in one go. I'm going to do the outsides of one, let that set for a minute or two. It's pretty quick drying, this Gorilla Glue. I've cleaned this so many times now on the inside. There's still a slight stickiness to it where the old glue is on there. I could get a little bit of sandpaper and try and sand it down, but I don't think it's that bad that it's going to stop anything from holding onto it, because the surface is quite wide anyway. So let's give it a go, see how we get to. I'm probably going to end up sticking my hands to something, I normally do, and then we'll be in the right mess. So let's double check before we do anything. We want it to be on that way round. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that the right way up by there, and I'm just going to literally run the smallest bit of the glue. Oh, there we go, it's coming out the nozzle. Okay, that seems to be holding. It's still wet, obviously. I'm going to leave that for a few minutes, then try the other one. Well, I'll try doing the inside first, and then we'll go from there. Cool, let's let that one dry. Let's not rush and try and do 2 in one go. Let that one dry, and then we'll do the center, and then we'll give that a crack, see if we need to do something different for the second speaker. Cool. Okay, so I've left that about 10 minutes now, and that's nice and dry around the edges. It's all smoothed in as well. It's pretty neat. The thing's like it's going to hold anyway. It's not going to move too much. The glue's nice and dry. It's not coming off on my hands now, which is good because I don't want stuck hands to the speaker. But yeah, it's in there. It's in there nice and tight. So next thing to do is trying to do the same. We're going to bend this up. I'm going to see if I can do underneath all here with some super glue in that kind of way you're doing it. Who knows how this is going to work out. This might be an absolute disaster, or it may work out, but let's try it and see what we get up to, and then we're going to try and stick this down in the right position as well.
Okay, so the first one is kind of stuck. It's not the neatest of speakers, but I didn't think it was going to be a perfect job, if I'm totally honest. This is my first attempt at ever doing a speaker, and it's pretty tricky because I don't think this inner piece is the exact right shape for these speakers. It's only like a millimetre or so off, but getting that inner side bit to stick down was a bit of a nightmare, so I'm going to give it another go on this one, try and keep it as neat as possible. I'm not really worried because it's behind all that grill and you're not going to see it. As long as it plays and sounds nice, that's the main thing, but you do want it to look neat and obviously be in the right position so it moves nicely. But yeah, let's try and glue this one down. I've learned a couple of things from doing that first one. Applying the glue, letting it settle for a couple of minutes, and then putting the speaker on is probably the surround on is probably the best way of doing it. I'm going to do that the first time this time now. So I'm going to apply it to the outside first of all, spread it around so it's nice, decent layer around it, not too thick. Okay, so these little thin bits where it wasn't sticking on the other one, so that's done on there. Then I'm going to do the same to this. I'm going to spread it around here this time rather than trying to do it with the speaker in place. It means I am going to be working against the clock once I put it all together. I'm trailed glue straight across it. I'm stuck to everything at the moment as well. Okay, so that's a nice layer of glue across everything now. I'm almost out of glue as well. So I'm now going to place this on top and just hold it in place. Oh, if that glue's in place now, that's a lot neater. Just need to hold it in somehow. Okay, I'm going to hold this for the next 5 minutes or so just to let it dry. So I won't make you watch while I'm waiting for glue to dry because that's probably just as bad as watching paint dry. So let's fast forward through this and see if it dries and holds in place.
Okay, so that was a lot harder than I thought. Speaker number one, where we glued it to the outside first and then tried to glue the inside afterwards. It's all held in place now. It's not the neatest of things, but the cone is held to the rubber, so it's hopefully going to sound okay. And then speaker number two, which I glued the outside first and then went with the inside. You can't see that too well on these cameras, I don't think. Yeah, not too bad. Again, there's bits which I need to re-glue, which have come away when it's drying. I've left these to dry for about half an hour now. The super glue is dry in pretty much everywhere. My fingers are covered in super glue. couple of things I think I've done wrong on these. So as I said right at the beginning of this video, is not a tutorial by any means, is that I think the rubber surrounds for these are not the right size. I think the outside size is fine. The inside size I think needed adjusting a little bit. I don't think it was the right size. And I also think I put them on the wrong way around. I think I put them on inside out. So I think this inner circle part there is meant to be coming outwards rather than inwards, but I don't know whether that's going to affect the sound. It's only to keep the movement of the speaker together. I'm going to leave these to dry for a little bit more. I've got one or two little bits I want to stick down. Once they're dry, I'm going to, as I said, leave it as long as I can to let that glue dry properly. I'm going to pop it back into the TV, and fingers crossed, we're going to give it a go and see what it sounds like. They're not neat. Certainly not going to look nice on display if you leave that cover off, but that was never the intention anyway. It's always going to have the cover on it. Hopefully the sound is going to sound a lot better than it did before. If not, I'm going to have to try and strip these down and try and get some new rubbers to go around there and have another go at this, because yeah, my first attempt at doing speaker rubbers, and a lot trickier than I thought, so bear with me. We'll get it all back together, get it all glued, get it dried, put it all back together, and we'll do a bit of a sound test to see how it sounds in a little bit. Cool. Okay, so the TV is back together. I've screwed the two speakers in. The more this dries, the more this keeps coming away, so I'm definitely going to have to relook at these in the future. It's not a perfect finish by any means. Let's turn the TV on. Still got Time Crisis running in the background. It's been playing throughout. So fingers crossed we'll get a bit of sound out of it. Who knows what the sound will be like.
You have traveled so very far.
Wow.
Be my guest and let me entertain you. Saludo Gato.
So that is a lot better already. Let's try and play some gameplay on it. So that sounds so much better. I will try and glue these a little bit more before I seal it all up and put it away, but already that sound is much better than it was an hour or two ago when we started this. So let's listen to this track now, see what it sounds like compared to the original.
This nation will soon be mine.
Much, much better. What an ugly job, but that's
The taste
done a
of
nice
revenge
job
is
of it.
sweet.
So I'm turning it quite loud now.
Your father will pay the price for destroying the Imperial rule. What happened?
We've been invaded.
What?
Never mind. My men will gun him down.
Action! Get out!
Bit of Gran Turismo 2 playing on the screen now, and sounds absolutely amazing. So I'm really chuffed with how it's turned out. As I said right throughout the video, it's not a tutorial by any means, because that was a pretty rough job and I learned a lot by doing the first one, and then the second one was a lot neater to do actually, but it still wasn't perfect. I think the couple of issues were the outside of that new rubber was fine, the inside was probably a little bit too small in diameter, so it was going over too much of the cone. I also think that I did put it on the wrong way around. I think you're meant to have that bulge coming out of the speaker rather than going inwards, but it sounds great, so I'm really chuffed with how it's sounding. That TV was pretty much unusable before, and it's such a lovely piece of kit that I didn't want to ruin it by not having speakers connected to it, and I couldn't find any replacement speakers for it as well, direct replacements, so I'd have to find aftermarket ones, try to find a way of fitting them. So this repair's done me good, and then at the moment sounds lovely, so hopefully it'll stay like that. Lots I've learned from this. I'm going to probably have to do speakers again in the future, but I think finding the right rubbers for it is the important bit. Taking your time. The glue, I might even change the glue up next time. That Gorilla Glue holds like shit basically. It holds everything, but it took a little while to hold those two surfaces together. I had to keep holding it down, and you hold one side down and the other side pops up, so it took a little bit of a while to get it all sorted and things, but got there in the end. I'm glad it's covered by that bezel. As I said, it's not a visual looking project. It looks terrible underneath, but it does the job. So fingers crossed those speakers hold out now, and I haven't got to do that again on this TV in a while. But I know I'm probably going to do it on some of the arcade cabs or something else in the future. So it's good to learn a little bit of a skill on that, even though I was absolutely terrible at it. But you've got to learn somewhere, haven't you? Yeah, cool. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video, and stay safe and see you soon.